fourth part of our look at biological psychology. We've looked at the brain, we've looked at the nervous system, we've drilled down to the microscopic level and looked at neurons. Now we're going to take a look at another system. This is a chemical system that is also related to various organs in the body, still connected, of course, to the brain, which regulates it. The system that we're going to be talking about is called the endocrine system. The endocrine system, we're talking a lot about particular glands in various parts of the body, like the pineal gland, pituitary, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas. We're also talking about processes that are not under conscious control. So your metabolism is not something that you tell yourself, slow down, and it slows down. These are processes that are broader than just lifting a finger to swat a fly or thinking about the Pythagorean theorem. And in that way, it's helpful to think about the endocrine system as a slow chemical messaging system. It regulates the body processes of day-to-day living, sleeping, the metabolism rate, regulation of the amount of salt and insulin and blood sugar. These are processes that, if you think of them as broader and slower, that will help you understand the difference between this kind of system and neurons. The chemicals that regulate this system are known as hormones. They function like neurotransmitters, but instead of a speedy message delivered from one neuron to another, they are broader, more systemic in their effect. And if you think about that, that makes sense. To control blood sugar and hunger is not an instantaneous kind of message, snap your finger and go. It requires sensing the body's needs, releasing insulin to regulate that blood sugar. And that's not going to happen in the same sort of speed as the kind of transmission that we talk about for thinking or muscle movement. In the brain, the master gland, the one gland that regulates all of the others, one ring to rule them all, one gland to rule them all, and in the brain to bind them, is called the pituitary. The pituitary is a small little gland that hangs down from the hypothalamus that we've already talked about. And it regulates the chemicals that these other endocrine glands release. So the hypothalamus regulates the body, tells the pituitary, hey, we need more growth hormone, or we need more whatever it happens to be. And the pituitary regulates the release of those chemicals in the body itself. So very often you'll see the pituitary described as the master gland of the endocrine system. What exactly are these chemicals? What are these hormones that are released in the body? There are numerous hormones that we could talk about. Hormones that deal with body growth, regulation, hunger, sexual arousal. All kinds of hormones are necessary for just your day-to-day functioning as a person. Hormones like endorphins, which stands for endogenous morphine, This modifies our response to pain and acts as a neuromodulator in the body. Melatonin, which is released by the pineal gland in response to the daily cycles of light and dark. You may, in fact, see melatonin in the store to take at night because it will trigger the onset of sleep. So if any of you take melatonin regularly, that's a hormone that is influencing your body's sleep cycle. Though I will note, melatonin introduces the onset of sleep. It won't keep you asleep. Epinephrine. In the body, that is the adrenal hormone associated with arousal when you are in a dangerous or fearful situation. And so you experience this not just as a neurotransmitter in the brain, but a whole body reaction as well when you are in danger, and it's either fight, flight, or freeze. Norepinephrine is another arousal hormone in the body released by the adrenal gland, typically associated with anger in the body. And together, these two are part of that response to danger that we have. Thyroid hormones are another set of hormones that we could talk about. If anybody has a thyroid that does not function properly, it either is too low or too active, you can take synthetic thyroid hormones in order to regulate your body metabolism and growth. There are sex-related hormones that we can talk about, androgens, testosterone, estrogen, prolactin. All of these things are regulating for reproductive cycles and the process of mating in order to produce children. So many of these hormones are things that might be familiar to us on a day-to-day basis, simply because these are part of the normal functioning of our lives. And when they don't work, as in the case of hypo or hyperthyroidism, then medical science has to help us deal with them. Or as in the case of not going to sleep, buying some melatonin at the store. That's been our look at the endocrine system. Next, we'll take a look at another piece of the biological puzzle, genetics.